writing with the intention to discontinue the agreement not less than 30 days of an anniversary date. If the anniversary date, Airwave may adjust the price of the services to reflect its current rates upon approval by the county. So the anniversary date is in November, and I think the last one was signed October 4th of 2010. So I wanted to have a discussion today as to whether or not the board wanted to renew the Airways contract, or if we wanted to terminate the Airways contract and put it out for bid, which I think is a fair way to do this for the best interest of the county. The reason I'm bringing it up this meeting is because this is the only time according to this contract it can be brought up. So I am bringing it up for that discussion, and we'll make a motion that we terminate the 2 remaining contracts we have with Airways, and I have those contracts here. One is the 800 megahertz Emergency Communication System Management Agreement, and the other one is, I don't have an official title of it here, but it's the maintenance agreement for the 3 radio sites. And I make that motion and that we rebid those 2 contracts at the earliest possible date under the direction of the EOC department.
Okay. It's been moved. Do we have a second?
I need to clarify something. I don't know if I understand what you are attempting to do, but I don't know if the correct language or terminology should be to terminate the contracts. I think if you're requesting that we put the contract back out for bid, would be more appropriate than to say to terminate, because once you terminate a contract, then all the services that Airways is providing will cease to be, and that could perhaps put Hinds County in jeopardy, put our radio system in jeopardy. I would second your motion, providing that you said we put the contract out for bid.
That's clearly the intent. So, and I'll accept that as part of the motion, and then we'll
because I don't think we should terminate the contracts. Just put it back out for bid. And the reason that I'm seconding your motion is I think if we put the contract back out for bid, this would clear up or dispel some of the perceptions from the general public that our taxpayers are being gouged. You know, there's been some considerable discussion in reference to the amount of the contract. So, again, I think it would be better that we just put it back out for bid, and if any interested company can perhaps submit a price for those services.
Okay. It's been moved. Properly second. Discussion. What I'd love to do, and I think with all fairness, I see Airways here this morning, and with all fairness, I think that even if we're considering whatever it may be with the company, then if they have any, if you would like to, I'd like you to come to the podium and discuss with us those contracts.
Good morning, Mr. President. My name is Nathan Hargrove. I'm with North Star Wireless, and with me I have Mr. James Travis. He represents Airwave. The issue with the maintenance agreements in terms of terminating them, I do agree with Supervisor Calhoun that if you terminate these maintenance agreements, it would put the public safety users in the county at a disadvantage. You know, as to the issue of the competitive nature of the maintenance agreements, those maintenance agreements actually save the county money and has saved the county money since they have been in existence. Typically, when you do a maintenance agreement like this, you go with somebody that's authorized by the manufacturer of the equipment, because without manufacturer support, it will be nearly impossible to properly maintain these systems. So just to bring that to the board's attention, if you got any other questions for me, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Okay. Any other questions, comments from any other board members? Okay.
Might I speak just briefly on behalf of Airwave?
Yes, sir.
I think also, when looking at these, and by the way, I'm Jamie Travis, I'm from law firm Case Kruger in Holland, and I represent Airwave here today. As you all know, there's been considerable talk in the media regarding this contract over the last, I would say, last year. I think a lot of it has been unfair. I think what we need to do is we need to take a look at the progression or the sequence of this contract with the county, this radio contract. The contract, I believe, came about in 1999 when Motorola actually came in and I believe installed the radios for the county. I'd like to say that I believe Mr. Stowers and Mr. Hargrove have been unfairly portrayed in the media because at the time that Motorola came in, who was the project manager between the liaison between Motorola and Hinds County, Stacey Stowers? He was the one on the ground doing the work. Okay, and in fact, if you look at the contracts that Airwave now have, it is saving the county, and I actually have the figures. It's saving the county over the life of the contract $300,000. You know, I think that's significant savings. Not only that, we've noticed that there haven't been any complaints. And if you look at the termination clause in the contract, it says that you've got to give the party 30 days and make known all the defects or the breaches that they have, and then give them an opportunity to cure. That's what the contract says. It says that in the termination clause. And I think if the county, and I'm glad to hear that we're not considering terminating this contract now, if the county were to do that, the county would be putting itself in some extreme legal jeopardy, you know, because there is recourse for taking steps like this. And again, another thing you should look at is Mr. Hargrove and Mr. Stowers are responsible for finding unauthorized users on the Hinds County system. I mean, and as a result of that, they actually brought a surplus in to Hinds County. This is work that they have been doing for this county, good work. In fact, I looked through all the documents and I have not seen agreements yet showing where these people, Airwave and North Star, have not been doing the job. And I think it would be a shame if this county, if the county comes in and tries to terminate this contract unfairly. Again, Airwave is on the ground. They are the local presence. They've been repairing the radios. It's been coming in to be repaired. Another thing the county needs to realize too is if a radio comes in and that radio has to be sent back to the depot, that has nothing to do with the time frame that it takes to repair them. That radio goes back to the manufacturer. And so if there's any downtime in the repair, that's at the manufacturer. So again, I just want you to think about what it is that you're undertaking to do today, and look at the good things that Airwave and North Star has done for this county in maintaining this radio system.
Ms. Kevin?
Yes, where is Mr. Stowers this morning?
I don't know. He's out working on the radio system, Supervisor County.
Okay.
I have a
Questions?
I have a question. The contract is with Airwaves. I don't know why North Star is up here as part of this. The contract that I'm talking about, the two contracts I'm talking about is Airwaves. So North Star has no horse in this race.
Well,
I don't understand what their presence here is.
Well,
But I will go back and tell you that there have been complaints. There have been complaints risen at these meetings. There have been complaints that I have brought forward at our meetings that are recorded in the minutes. There are complaints with Clinton. There have been complaints by Byron. As a matter of fact, the complaints were so intense in Byron that they opted, as I understand it, in the last year, to buy their own radios out of their own pockets in order to avoid working with the Airwaves company. Now, so I think you're not representing fully, I think, what has gone on here in the past 3 years with this contract. I think that, as was stated, though, it has been a media issue. While it may be a media issue, that does not necessarily make it an issue that we need to change one way or the other. The reason that I want to change this issue is because I am dissatisfied with the work that Airwaves has done. The owner of Airwaves doesn't even bother to show up to the meeting today, which I think is indicative of that attitude. And I think that we need to bid this out, as the motion has been changed to say, and see if we can come up with a better working arrangement within the county that's more satisfactory to those who are paying for this, and those people, those taxpayers who are relying on the various city entities to have the radios, to have them in a timely manner, to have them prepared in a timely manner, to have them turned on in a timely manner. And I think we owe that to them.
Is that it?
Okay.
Well, it may be, I may add something else.
May I respond?
Say no, you want to say.
Go ahead, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Mr. Fisher, obviously, you and I will agree to disagree on the statements that you've made. And if you had complaints or what have you, I have not seen them. And I don't know if Mr. Stowers or Mr. Hargrove has seen them. And to explain Mr. Hargrove's presence here, I don't know if you're familiar with the way the Motorola contract ran. When Motorola was maintaining the system, Jackson Com was a service shop. And so as Airwave is maintaining the system, Northstar is a service shop. So that means Northstar does repairs in conjunction with Airwave. So Mr. Hargrove does have standing to be here. And it serves him well to be here, to show the county his dedication to the county. And those complaints, if any, that you were alluding to, it's my understanding, have all been corrected. And if I just might speak just briefly about the Byron radio system, it's really amazing to me that this county, by way of an interlocal agreement, had already agreed to fund those radios. And for Byron, for whatever reason, decided that they didn't want to accept that grant of radios. It's just crazy to me because Byron, in turn, had to, of their own money, had to pay roughly $200,000 to purchase radios, which are already funded by the county. Okay, so why they do that, I have no idea. Especially given the fact that Byron, the city of Byron, right now is using radios loaned to it by the county. So I can't speak as to why Byron did that.
Travis, is that your name?
That's right. Yes, sir.
Travis, I would suggest that you go back and reread the minutes of previous meetings where this issue has been discussed in lively detail. Motions have been made by me to end this contract in the past. So I would suggest that you go back and read those so that you can have your proper information in front of you.
Well, I would suggest you read the contract so you know how to terminate them. Okay? Because these allegations that you're making of complaints and stuff has not been provided to my client. So I would suggest that you do that.
Thank you very much. We will, if there's nothing else, motion and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposers? Nay. Nay. Motion failed. Thank y'all very much. Okay. Next item.
Next item is the Byron radio. Ironically, but you're still not on. The problem is, apparently, contrary to what we were told in our last board meeting, the issue is Airwaves. In the last board meeting, I directly asked, is the issue dealing with Airwaves and turning on radio? And the response was, no, it wasn't. Well, now we've gone back and through letters and other correspondence, it is in fact the issue. The county apparently has a policy dictating that one private sector company and one private sector company alone can turn on these radios. I feel like that's wrong. I feel like a governmental entity cannot designate only one private sector company that can be dealt with. I feel like that this turning on the radios in Byron is simply a matter, and it can be done, by the way, it's not over the internet, but over the air. All they need is the numbers, and the state agencies involved can do that. And this is where we're in disagreement. Byron contrary to what Airwave, well, Airwaves wasn't his, but North Star thinks, Byron does not want to deal with Airwaves. That should be their choice. They bought the radios. So they should be allowed, if they have that opportunity, to deal with someone else to have them turn on to do so. As you've read in the paper, when they had a manhunt issue or situation at Byron, they had to have a makeshift way to get around and to communicate. This is a problem that's being caused by county policy that I believe is wrong, and I believe is directed solely at providing business to one private sector company and not allowing others to compete for or take part in the business. Now, I talked to Mr. Lewis, Jimmy Lewis, about that, and he said that the board's motion basically was that we go by the policy, and that policy is, as I understand it, only Airways can turn them on. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're consistent with all the other communities here in the county.
Okay. Well, I disagree with that too. But now I'm going to make a motion that this board do away with the policy, that we delete the policy, allowing only one company to turn on the radios, the Motorola radios that any entity has, and that those entities be allowed to choose who they want to do their radio, who they want to work their radios through.
I have a question, Mr. Lewis.
Mr. President,
In regards to security, is there any reason as to why Byron cannot select another company, regardless to the board's decision, just in general? If Byron's police department was allowed to use another company to turn the radio on, the radio's on, is there a security problem?
to answer that question truthfully, it's possible that there could be. What we're basically talking about here is not turning them on, it's just getting them programmed.
If they were allowed to be programmed, let's say by Ms. Wynn, is there a security breach or problem there?
I would say it's possibly it could be due to the fact that that means if they program them, they can put in what they want to put into them without our knowledge.
I don't understand. If we were, why would they not make the information available to Hinds County?
Well, that would be a choice of them because he has the ability, the state has the ability to program these radios.
But why would the state want to put Hinds County in jeopardy? Is my question.
Right. I really can't answer that. But the only thing I know is that, in the process of programming the radios, there could be other things placed in the programming process. Whereas we're talking about programming. Once they're programmed, then our maintenance company has to put them online, whatever they're programmed to.
Let me ask a question. Let me make a statement and ask a question. First of all, I would say, why would you have a policy? We have a over $1 million system, and everybody in Hinds County, including Jackson State, University of Mississippi, many of the other entities throughout the county is on our system. And we have developed a system. Why have the system and nobody? You have some follow it and some does not follow it. That's number one. Number two is that we have given that to all the other entities. They have abided by, if I understand it correctly. and had no problem. And so my question is, why would we change that system when in fact this is a system that can work, and we're working toward even more stabilized in the system where it will do what it's supposed to do. And I guess my question would be is, I don't know whether you know this or not, but other counties that have a system similar to this, do they have a policy as to exactly how they program their radios, or have anybody else to program their radio?
As far as that, Mr. Smith, as far as that information is concerned, whether other counties have these policies in place, I really don't know. I can research that and try to find out.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Hinds County is the only county in Mississippi that has its own radio system, if I'm not mistaken. Because other counties opted to wait and go on with the state system.
Oh no, you have Rankin County, Warren County got the same system we have.
Let me make a clarification point. We're using the word change the system versus change the policy. We're not asking to change the system. The radio system is what it is. What I'm talking about here is the policy of the county that forces everybody to use one company.
Mr. President, may I add something? I was thinking that Mr. Lewis might mention this, but as a part of the maintenance contract, the programming is included for the company to do. So whichever company has the maintenance contract, they are responsible for programming the radios.
Right.
So
But if someone opts to go outside of that, they should have that opportunity.
there's a company that Hinds County is already paying for those services. And everyone else to date that we know of has gone through the system that the county is already paying for. So of course it's up to the board, but I just wanted you to be aware of what's in the contract. And there was also a question about the interlocal agreement. In the interlocal agreement with Byron, it does say the county shall be responsible for the maintenance of the equipment under the county's maintenance contract with Airwave LLC. So when that agreement was signed, it was already contemplated and known to Byron that Airwave was the company with the maintenance contract and would be maintaining the radios on the Hinds County system. And in addition to that, any radios that are on the system, Hinds County is given the responsibility for the county's radio system technician. In this case, which includes Airwave, it's given equal rights to the system management, control, and access. And that's for the protection of the Hinds County system.
Who else does it include?
It includes whichever maintenance company Hinds County happens to be contracted with. In this particular instance, it is Airwave.
So it doesn't include Airwaves, it excludes everyone else.
It includes the company that is maintaining the system on behalf of Hinds County.
And who is that?
Airwave.
So I'll say again, it excludes everyone else.
I just want
It is wrong, I think, for a government entity to establish a policy that allows to work with only one person. That is the bottom crux of that.
Do we have two pickup?
No, but we have a bid on that. And the county votes on a bid, and y'all, three of y'all just voted not to rebid this.
Oh, come on, man. You ready to yourself?
No, I'm not. I'm ready at you, wondering, where have you been?
Okay.
Mr. Lewis, would you just explain what the process is that we're talking about? What Byron needs to do in order to come on to our system, excuse me, that is to provide serial numbers of their radio so that Hinds County can assign an ID number?
The Byron has already established serial numbers, and they submitted them to me, and I submitted them to Airwave, so that's already in place. Now, Byron needs to get with New York Airways to set up a schedule so they can get these radios programmed, and a day or two will be completed. And that's what they need to do.
It can all be done over the air. It doesn't need a day or two. It can be done I don't want to use the word internet, that's not the right word, but they can do it from their offices in the state.
That's basically a big board decision.
Yeah, but I'm just telling you, they can do it from there. And I tell you, Mr. Lewis, I'm shocked that you would infer that the state would add additional information or in some way try to pollute the system. I'm just surprised that that would come out.
I only stated, Mr. Fisher, that it's possible. I did not clarify that they would do it. I only stated that it is possible. So,
We have a keeping system, Mr. Fisher. If it's the desire of this board to give that key to Timbuktu, I think we have the authority probably to do that. I, for one, does not agree with that. I think that we should maintain the integrity of our system and that we keep our policy in place and move forward. That, in my opinion, this is not an issue. I think we should move forward as Hinds County and make sure that we work together with all political subdivisions, and especially in the public safety side. I don't see anything wrong with that. But anyway, was there a motion on it's a
Motion and second.
It was a motion and
No, I didn't say
And
that.
second?
no. Okay. So, do we have a second? Do we have a second?
So,
Do we have a second?
Mr. Lewis,
Guys would like a second.
Mr. Lewis, you're saying that all Harold has to do is get with Hinds County to set up a schedule in order to have the radio.
correct.
Okay.
If they were to go with the state, can they automatically go on to the state system? Do they have to come back to Hinds
They already
County?
on.
They're already on the state. The primary system for Byron is the state, Miss Winters. They're already on it. But they do have access to the radios that we provided to them. 4 radios we provided to them. They can communicate with Hinds County.
Okay. Next item, Mr. Davis.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. First item we have on the county administrator is unclaimed bodies. There are no unclaimed bodies for your consideration today. Stand.
You sure?
I'm positive.
Okay.
The next item is from Mr. Dan Gibson, our risk management consultant, with one item for your consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Members of the board, this is a very simple matter. We have a 2006 Crown Victoria that was involved in an incident, damaged the vehicle, and Zurich has offered a very good settlement offer to the county so that the county can retain this vehicle, and we need your approval to accept the negotiated settlement that Zurich has offered the county.
Okay.
So,
It's been moved. Second discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President. Next we have Major Pete Luke, Director of Fiscal Affairs and Sheriff's Office.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, Mr. President and board members. I stepped out while Mr. Gibson was, I hope he was giving money from a car wreck because I'm here on this coattail asking for that money. We've got, if they'll wreck 3 more cars, we'll have enough to buy a Volkswagen, I think. I'd like to get that money set aside for the purchase of another patrol vehicle if I could.
So,
It's been moved. Proper second. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried.
Thank you. I'd like to bring the board just something to the board's attention, just so you'll be aware. We presently have 2 animal control trucks. One of them has been deadlined in the past week, and we are operating with 1. The one that we have now has in excess of 263,000 miles in it, and is not feeling well. If you can come up with some idea how we can replace an animal control vehicle, it would certainly help us. It doesn't have to be anything new. As a matter of fact, if the board would authorize me, I'd